Hey friends! My name is Desiree, aka Mama Friendly. I do all sorts of videos on my channel, cooking videos, vlogs, hauls, Disney content, a little bit of everything. So if any of that sounds like fun to you, I hope that you will subscribe and join me on my YouTube adventure. Today's video is part of the Sunday Suppers collab hosted by Tiffany of Small Town 6. She's been hosting this all year long, but this is my first time participating. And I thought for supper today we would do breakfast for dinner. Now this is a super simple recipe that I would typically prepare for like a brunch, but I figure Mother's Day's coming up, Father's Day's coming up, so this is something very easy to put together that you can prepare with your kids. If you have older kiddos that you trust to use an oven, they could even make this on their own and maybe surprise mom or dad on their special day. So I think that this recipe is timely for that reason. Everything is prepared in the oven, so you don't ever have to turn on the stove and like babysit a burner. So as long as you can safely take things in and out of an oven and mind the timer, you can prepare this dish. As usual, I'm gonna be giving you the ingredients for like the full platter, but it's just me eating this, so I'm gonna be making a smaller version of it myself. So do as I say, not as I do. The ingredients and times, etc. that I tell you are going to be to serve 4 to 6 people. Before we jump into the recipe, I want to remind you that because this is a collab, there's going to be a playlist. So if you look in the description box below, you're going to find a link to the host's channel, but you're also going to find a link to that playlist so that once you finished watching my video, you can check out what my friends made for their Sunday suppers this month. To the ingredients. So the great thing about this recipe is that it's very simple, but also very versatile. You could change things around if you want to make it simpler for yourself like I have, or you can go full on from scratch mode, entirely up to you. So to serve 6 people, you're going to need 12 slices of bacon. If you get nitrate-free and sugar-free bacon, then this would be paleo. Like that's what you would need to do to make this a paleo dish. So 12 slices. You also need 2 pounds of potatoes. You can use a sweet potato, Yukon, red potato, whatever you want. Scrub them clean, but leave them unpeeled. If you want to go the easier route like I did, you could just get a pound of hash browns. These are frozen, so while everything else is kind of setting up, I'm going to put these in warm water to thaw them out a little bit, bring them closer to like, not necessarily room temperature, but just not completely frozen. You need a tablespoon of melted ghee or avocado oil, some sort of cooking oil. 2 teaspoons of everything but the bagel seasoning. Now, I don't have that. I'm not interested in that. That's never been something that I like. I know, controversial take. I might get canceled for saying that, but it's just not something I'm into. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use garlic powder, onion powder, salt and pepper to make a flavor profile that I enjoy. You do you. If you like everything but the bagel seasoning, then by all means. You will also need salt and pepper to taste, 6 large eggs, and 2 tablespoons of some sort of herbaceousness to top off your recipe at the end. You could use parsley, you could use chives. I'm going to be using some green onion. So super simple. We're going to start with our old but reliable cookie sheet here. And so you could line this with parchment paper or silicone or whatever you want. I'm going to just use it like this. We're going to place our bacon in a single layer onto the pan, and then we're going to turn our oven on to 425 degrees Fahrenheit and immediately place the pan into the oven in the center rack. So we're starting from a cold oven and letting the oven come to temperature with the bacon inside. We're going to bake it for 8 to 10 minutes until the bacon is mostly cooked but still soft and some fat has rendered onto the pan. Our bacon's about to come out of the oven, but I wanted to show you guys, I have my potatoes here measured out. I have defrosted them a bit, and I've also wrung them out to get rid of any excess moisture, which I recommend you doing whether you're using frozen potatoes or fresh, because extra moisture and potatoes just typically, whoops, does not go well. There's my timer for the oven. If you are using fresh potatoes though, you would be grating them with a cheese grater, grating attachment on your food processor, using a spiralizer, whatever you have to do to get them to about this shape and size while your bacon is cooking in the oven. So after 9 minutes, our bacon is not mostly cooked, and that's what we were looking for. As always, your mileage may vary. Ovens are different. Mine in particular is very old, and so it might not work as efficiently as some other ovens out there. Case in point, it's been going for those, let's say 10 minutes now, and it is still not at 425 Fahrenheit. It's still in the preheating stage. So I'm going to give these guys a flip, and I'm going to put them back into the oven for, let's say, another 3 minutes. So that they get a little more cooked and so that they render out a little more fat, because we're going to need that bacon grease for the next step. Alright, it's been 3 minutes. I hear sizzlage. Yep, and the oven is in fact preheated now, so I'm feeling good about this. Yeah, that's looking better. Again, we're not looking for fully cooked, so this is fine. It's going to continue cooking at a later step. So I'm going to put this onto a plate with some paper towels to drain, but I'm going to leave all that grease right there. If you have a ton of grease, pour off all but 2 tablespoons. You don't need any more than that. Okay, I double checked. I don't think that's too much grease. I think we're good there. So I'm going to put my potatoes onto my tray of bacon grease now. Just kind of spread them out. You're going to be using double this amount of potatoes. Remember, I'm having my recipe because I'm not serving a whole crew of people. You'd be using about twice this much. Now you're going to drizzle your ghee or your avocado oil on top. I'm actually going to be using avocado oil spray because it's what I've got. And we're going to sprinkle it with your seasoning. I'm going to use salt, pepper, onion, and garlic like I mentioned, but if you're using everything but the bagel seasoning, you'd be using that plus a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. So we're putting this back in the oven now. On the top rack, we're going to bake until the edges begin to brown, and that should take 15 to 17 minutes. I'm going to go on the lower end of that. I'm going to do 14-15 minutes just because I have so few potatoes. They're going to have a bigger opportunity to burn, but you should start checking at about 15 minutes. The potatoes are looking and smelling nice. We definitely have some golden edges there. So we're looking good. I'm going to toss the potatoes so that they get an opportunity to cook all over and not just on the edges. And now I'm going to try my best to flatten them out into just the one single layer again. So now I'm going to create kind of little wells in the potato. I feel like I could have done with more potato, honestly, but it's fine. We're using what we got. I'm going to crack the eggs separately into little bits of the potato here. And I say separately because that way it'll be easier to dole out your servings later. Okay, that's kind of sliding off the potato. I should have created a nicer little well there, but that's fine. So we've got our eggs. Try to make sure you keep your yolks intact. And now I'm going to come back in with my bacon. Again, if I had more potato, this would look prettier because we could disperse the potato throughout. I'm going to put a picture right here of what it's meant to look like when you're putting it together on a grander scale, when you're making the full serving. So I'm just going to kind of put this wherever because it doesn't really fit on the potato as I had originally intended. But now that everything is on the tray again, we're going to put this back into the oven. Let me season the eggs first, actually. Are you guys team coarse ground or team fine ground? I always prefer to see the chunks of salt and pepper on my food, but I know that it's a controversial take, so you let me know what you think. Anyways, this is all going back into the oven on the top rack. We're baking until the egg whites have set, but the yolks are still runny, and the potatoes should crisp on top, although there's so much stuff on top of my potatoes, I don't know if that's gonna happen. I'm gonna give it about 4 minutes. And after 4 minutes, we're still not quite there. That one's looking good. These are still looking raw. I'm gonna give it another, oh man. The shame of it is that the other one is gonna overcook while I wait for these two to cook. I put them too close together, I think. But I'm gonna give it another minute and a half. So the bad news is, like I always say, every oven is different, and so you're not gonna get the timing quite right the first time, possibly. Also, again, since I've halved my recipe, my stuff is not going as perfectly as the recipe might dictate. However, the good news is that once you've done this once or twice and you get your timing right specifically to your oven, then you could make this all the time and know that it's going to turn out each and every single time. I also really like the fact that we're only making one pan dirty throughout this entire situation. And there's my lovely little breakfast for dinner. I am very excited to dig into this. This looks and smells awesome, and it was really, really simple to put together. Might have been faster if I did each component separately, potentially, but I'm trying to make it, like I said, easy for kiddos to put together for their mommy or their daddy on their special day, and so if that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place. I hope you guys will give this recipe a try, make it with your kids, and enjoy it as a family. I'm getting ready to enjoy it myself. It looks pretty good, if I do say so myself. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up before you go. Make sure you subscribe because I post at least 3 times a week, and there's always something fun and exciting happening on the channel. I wouldn't want you to miss a minute. Thanks so much again for watching. Bye!